Are we online now? Are we online now? So I hope we're online, and I found that has been slowing down my new Vim. I'm probably gonna get rid of it fully, but I just kind of like commented it out. But finally, oh, don't disappoint me. Things are butter smooth and fast again. That really was getting me frustrated. But I'm glad it's all gone now. So first, let me check that we're online. We're online now. Let's confirm as I always do, so I don't mess it up. So we don't mess it up. Frustrated. All right, we are. I just confirmed. I think we are live. Um, Let me see how it looks on that also. Um, that would be. I was watching Jan. Let's check. Um, okay, it looks. Oh, great. Perfect. Let's mute this here. Anyway, so today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm writing integration and end-to-end test in Rust, right? And I just thought like, why not share this with you guys? So prior to these, I've actually done quite a bit. I'm going to show you what I've been working on. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, okay. Da-da-da. Um, So this is what I've been working on. Let's clear this first. Let's do cargo run up. Yep. So pretty much I've been working on the CLI for the migration test. And what I've done since then is now we have init. We have new commands called init. We've got like prune, we've got list, we've got reset. In addition to that, run is now called up and rollback is now called down. So for more like simplicity and consistency. And in fact, generate can also be called like gen. So the beauty of this is, and the reason I introduced init is, imagine you're like writing your migration. So right now, let me show you what this look like. So yeah, we've got all this current migration, right? Let's nuke everything. Let's see if I've got anything in my Git stuff. This is testing. Um, More testing. Again. So let's take that out first, right? So let me do a little demo for you guys. If I delete this, that's currently the migrations we've got, and I run the CLI. Let me show you how the setup is just like this simple, right? Um, yes, we can take this up actually. Just take that up. Um, I'm not supporting that shit anymore. Anyway, so we do. So if you when you want to start, what you need to do first is you need to initialize. So you do like cargo run init, and you put the name of the first migration file. Let's say create first migration. Um, then so one interesting thing is when you're initializing, you have to specify if it's reversible or not. So because we didn't specify that it's reversible, if we do like the nice and beauty of this whole thing, what's wrong with my editor again? Or please don't let me down. Don't let me down. Oh yeah. So the beauty of this is now we've got like cargo list also. So if I do cargo run list, by default, it's going to show us only the migrations that have been applied, I believe. So this should be 0, right? Because, but if we do status applied, we haven't applied anything, so it's going to give us none. But we do status, well, pending. So it lists that, right? And I should probably, I think I was making this more like evident. As you can see on the last line, we have like create first migration. And you can also do like all, um, yeah, so it's showing us that. I think I'd like to make that more conspicuous. What do you guys think? Let's go CLI. Um, let's do maybe where's least? Okay, there. Yeah, I was expecting this. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, I'm only doing that for the two-way migration. Anyway, ba, 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 bum. Uh, uh, uh. I probably okay. You know what? I'm just gonna copy these here and put that, stick that in there, and maybe put that here and stick it in here. This should probably maybe go here, right? We can always improve it and consolidate. So if we do list again, let's see how this renders. First time, it's gonna be a little bit slow because it's compiling. So now we have like clear delineation. So if you do like pending, it's gonna show us that one. But if you do like applied, because we haven't applied that, it's gonna show us nothing. So there are like 0 migrations. But as you can see, if we go to that, we only have one, right? So one other stuff you could do is let's delete that again. Let's remove that. Let's reinitialize. So when you're initializing, you can do like cargo run init, and you can tell it to run it. You know, the first time we just told it to like kind of like initialize without running. So now when we do cargo run status, was it list rather? When we do applied, one should have actually been applied. As you can see, that has been applied. When we do pending, there should be 0 pending. So there are no pending migrations. Then all should still be that one, right? So that's beautiful. So what if we want both up and down migration? This is just one-way migration. And before that, let me show you what else you could do. You could do like cargo run reset, and you put the name of the reset. But this time we are actually telling it, okay, let's remove that first. So let's call the name refresh migrations. Let's probably do that. And this time we're also telling it to run it, right? So that also has a run flag. So we can do cargo list, run list, status all. So now you see it's showing us refresh migration, right? If we do pending, there should be no pending because we told it when we reset to run it. When we do all, it should still show us that. In addition, let's try to like reset, but this time, let's call it reset migration so you can see the difference. But this time around, we are actually telling it it's reversible. So how do you say that? You can either use the shortcut or you can say like reversible. So you can use like whichever you want. So this means like reversible, right? And when we do this, we can even do the same thing for name and just say n, right? That's the short form of that. When we do this and we run it, this time it's going to generate both up. Okay. Oh, so I'm not using short form. I need to add that. I'm not doing that yet, but we'll come back to that. But anyway, so let's use the full form. And as you can see, when we do cargo list, cargo run list, let's do applied. And let's see what we get. We're getting the up because it's gonna show us just the up. I need to think about that because it's really it's only up that you apply to the database, right? When we do all, it shows us that. When we do pending, um, there are no pending. But we go to this directory now. You see that it actually generated two files, and you can see this is up and this is down, right? Good. What else? Say we want to revert that, we do cargo down, right? When we do cargo down, let's just do cargo down. By default, it runs it reverts the previous one. So when we do cargo run list, pending should now be 1 because we've removed it from the database. If you do applied, it should be none, right? So we can do that. We can go back up and do cargo run up, and it's going to run everything to the latest, right? And you can even do cargo, let's do cargo down. You can do cargo run up, and you can do like you want it to run to the next one or two, right? So let's do like cargo, let's generate a new one. The nice thing is that because we've initialized it, we can automatically detect if it's one way or two way. So you don't always have to specify the reversible argument. You only need to specify that when you're initializing or when you're resetting. So this one we do cargo run gen. You can use the short form gen or generate. So let's do fresh nono. And I believe we can even do run for this, but let's leave this simply now. And you see, it's telling us because it's empty, it's saying, are you sure you want to generate empty migration? If you say no, obviously it's going to generate nothing. But let's now try to generate something. We say yes, and now it's generated new. So we can do cargo run list. We should have one new, apply should be 1. Then let's check pending. Pending should also be 1 now because we have a new migration called fresh no. Then all should be 2, right? So out should we run? Let's check pending, right? So we can do cargo run up. This time we're running to the latest. Let's just do that. Now, when we do cargo run blah blah list, pending should be 0. Then when we do cargo run applied, it should be 2. So what if we do cargo run down? In down, we can decide to also say go down to like by 2 or by 3. We've got 2 migrations, so let's do down by 2. And now let's do cargo run list. Apply should be 0 now because we've removed that, and pending should be 2. And what if you want to delete all the pending migration? So what you do is cargo run, you do prone, right? So now I told you that it's deleted them. So let's do cargo run list pending. It should be 0. The reason it's not able to list is because you've not initialized them, right? So now it's not able to tell if it's one way or two way. So what you can do is you do cargo run again, and you do init or reset. Let's do init. Let's do create first and foremost. This time, let's decide not to run it when we're initializing. But that was one way because we didn't specify that it's reversible. As you can see, we do cargo list. Now we do pending. You will see there is no suffix of up or down like SQL. If we check this, you see that only one would be generated because we didn't specify that it's reversible, right? When you run into this kind of scenario, how do you handle it? You can just do cargo run, reset, and now you specify R. R means reversible. You can basically do this also, reversible. That's the long format. And you can even tell it to run it. Or you can just reset without telling it to run. Let's call it reset migration now. Now you see that there are like new files, but now both up and and down, up and down. You can see the suffixes. Uh, did I even pronounce that right? But anyway, so now if we do cargo list, you'll notice that there are two pending migrations because we didn't decide to run them. I mean, it only lists the up migration. We can reconsider that. Then you can do cargo run up. You can It runs to the latest, but let's say we only want to run the next one. Okay. So we can also do cargo run list pending, which should be 0 now. Then if we do applied, it should be on. Right. So what if we generate cargo run generate fresh Nunu? Let's generate fresh Nunu 2. So it's able to detect the kind. You don't have to specify if it's reversible or not. But now let's do cargo run list. Applied should be 1, and pending should be maybe 2. We've generated 2 new, so Nunu and Nunu 2. So let's just let's say we only want to apply the next one. We can do cargo run up N1, and if we check pending again, there should only be 1. Applied should be 2, right? So that is cool. So what if we just like run everything? So now apply should be 3 and pending should be 0. But what if we want to roll back though? You can do, let's say we want to roll back the last 2. Now we should have 1 pending. My database library, Mason, is for SurrealDB. That's the first database engine I'm supporting for now. But in the future, I plan to support all other like SQL databases, MySQL, Postgres, and SQLite, and also I plan to support other graph databases and even NoSQL databases. So I have like a lot of plans for it. So now when you do two, let's do like status. How are you doing? And thanks for joining the stream. Where are you chatting from? So let's do list, status pending. What are you gonna notice now? There are like 2 pendings because we rolled back 2. But what if we do apply, there should be 1, right? So let's say we want to roll back, let's roll back up again. Da-da-da, up, run, up, yeah. Let's do that. So now if we do apply, there should be 3. Let's say we want to roll back everything. We can do cargo run. Oh, thanks. Thank you. How's California today? California. I'm actually I'll be in Oregon next month, and I might pop into like California. So let's do down. You can also do something I haven't shown you is you can do down. So let's say till. This is the full argument. You can do down. You can say till or you just do t. So let's say we just copy this, right? We copy this now. So you can put that in. You run down, bam. So let's do cargo run. Gray cows and rain. Oh, it's quite sunny here today. Run. Is it a good time to visit California? So we do like list applied. Apply should now be 0 because we've removed up to that. And what if we do list? pending rather. Pending should be 3. So let's do cargo. And one thing I'm gonna show you guys also. Let's refresh this now. You see that it's empty. So when I do cargo run up to latest, let's run that. What you're gonna notice is now we've got 3 and we've got the checksum. So it actually checks the checksum of the file. And we've got the name, we've got the timestamp. So that's good. If we go back and we do cargo run down, let's do by 2. So now there should be 2 unapplied. So pending should now be 2, and apply should be 1. If we go back here, you see there is 1 here, so there should be 1 here also. So now if I do cargo run prone, let's say you want to delete the ones that have been removed. Oh, this is the color stem. Yeah, it is December. But how's it in California? Do you like it? Status. Um, yeah, you can then do like prune. Let's say you want to remove those ones that are pending now. You can just do prune, and when you do prune, you see deleting files deleted. So it deleted 3 files, right? So if we do like cargo run list, let me show you that it's deleted it for you. You see that there were like 3 pairs. Now there are only 1 pair, right? So there used to be 6, and I'll prove that to you. Let's do gen again, fresh nano 2 because it's empty. Let's do fresh nano 3 and done. So now there are like 6 files. So let me show you one thing, guys. Let's go to resources, right? And let's try to change. There's actually resources v2, but that will be used in the test. Let's try to change something here. So let's rename these to from labels to tags. I hope it's not used anywhere. It seems like let's change it from labels to tags, and let's rerun. Oh, let's make that 4. So this time around, it's gonna prompt us if we're trying to do a rename or removal, right? Because it's kind of like ambiguous. So let's see what we get. Um, it's gonna take a while because it's rebuilding, because things have changed quite a bit. So I'm trying to write more automated tests for all this stuff so that you don't have to do all this manual testing every time. I mean, this is doubling as a demo, so it's great. It is great. So we're gonna wait for this to run. Let's see how many stuff we've got here right now. We've got 1. Okay, so now it recognizes that this might be ambiguous. So it says delete old field labels and create a new one. Do you want to rename this field or delete the old one completely without transferring the data? So the first option is delete old field labels and create a new one tags on table planning. And the second option is to rename old field labels to new field tags, right? So let's choose like rename and let's check. You see there are like new files here. So yeah, it's essentially doing a rename. Like it defines the new field, set the new to the old to the new, then remove the old. Then yeah, it just does the reverse. So um yeah, we can do cargo run up. Let's run it up to latest. Remember we had 1 here, so now we should have like 4. Yeah, so we've got 4. And if we do cargo run list, apply should be 4. Great. As you can see, no, 2, 3, 4. And if we do pending, should be 0. So what if we want to down everything, we can do down. Therefore, we can of course select the file and copy it and put it there. Or we can just do 4, and you can even say like 32. It's just gonna like do it to the max. So let's check here now. There should be 0. And when we do cargo run list, pending is 4, then applied is 0, and of course all is also 4. So let's do cargo, let's run up by 3 and 3. So if we do that, there should be all should be 4, but pending should be 1, and apply should be 3. And we can confirm that from the database GUI. So we've got like 3, and that's the demo. I've demonstrated listing, I've demonstrated initializing, I've demonstrated resetting, I've demonstrated pruning, upping, basically running, then rolling back. Then let's demonstrate run. So run is basically removing unapplied migration. So if we do this and we do pending, basically removing pending migrations. That's one. Let's do cargo run prune. It's going to remove that, delete that. When we check now, we used to have like 4 pairs, right? So basically 8,000 total. Now we've got like 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. So we can also reinitialize. Let's say we've been using 2-way and we want to use 1-way. We can do cargo reset again. So let's say we want to use 1-way. We will remove the argument, reverse. We just do name and say refresh migration, and we can decide to run it right away. So now you see it's refreshed, generated a new one, but just 1-way. And if we do like list, cargo run, list, pending should be 0 because we decide to run it, and apply should be 1. And we can confirm that here. So we got like checksum for up, and so that's the demo, guys. And we're gonna write proper tests for this. Let me just discard all those changes. I probably want to keep these properly delineate distinct for one-way migration. Yep. The rest I clean up migration test. I can discard the rest, I think. Yep. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write more like test. As you can see here, we've written. There's a lot of things we've done here. I can show you. Let's close that. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff we've done. Initialize listing, and yeah, the diffing is done here, and yeah, just different stuff right here. We have the file manager, we have the runner, and we have these two that keep track of the code base and the migration directory, then the checksum implementation, and just different stuff. So what we're gonna do is start writing integration tests, like I said. And the first thing that came to mind, changes to probably not. The first thing that came to mind, let's go to the CLI itself. So one thing you're gonna notice is we're parsing this directly. So in order to make testing easy, even though we want to do proper end-to-end testing, and we've done some of that, I can show you right here. Yep, it should be here. So I have like some proper end-to-end test here, like testing with the command line interface that everything works, and some that directly interact with the functions, the API. But what I would like to do is to make this flexible so that we can test the functions more thoroughly. So we can do like public async function, migration CLI function, whatever. But this time around, we're actually going to pass in the CLI as a function so that it's easier for us to test. We can directly pass in stuff. da-da-da, and do that. Uh, so what we can then do is come here and put in the CLI and code, blah blah. So that we can just remove, and yep. So we can just test this separately. Let's make it public within this crate. So this is gonna make it easy for us to test this function. We can use this. It's more private than we can also make this public within this crate. So that's one thing we can do. Hi Kevin Kerima. Did I get that right? So make CLI function. We can do make CLI function more flexible for testing, or more testable, whatever. So we're gonna do that. Then the next thing we're gonna do to make our lives easier is there's a place where I'm prompting, and I believe it's in generate. So for example, if you're running like generate, and I can show it to you guys. If you're trying to do generate and it's an empty file, it's gonna prompt you. Do you know this is an empty file? Are you are you sure you want to generate an empty file? So let's go there. And as you can see, if we go to this generate function, so it's been shared here, and to generate, so it's here. I might clean this up a little bit, abstract things a little bit. So here we've got this prompt that asks you if you're trying to like generate an empty file. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna make this I'm gonna make this into an interface that we can pass in as an argument, right? I'm gonna make this into this. Let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna call this straight prompter, right? And we're gonna have a function called prompt. And actually, rather than in returning this, which we can, so let's do the first one would be, let's say we've got um, not native prompter, lib real prompter. Let's call it real prompter, right? And all real prompter is gonna do is implement the interface. So implement prompter for real prompter. Yeah, thank you for filling that up for me. So basically taking this, and let's move that. Let's be sure that everything is right, because I don't trust Copilot. So basically it does this, and as you can see, this function is actually meant to, when you invoke it, it's gonna return you don't need disclosure here. It's unnecessarily complicates things, right? Really what we need, we can just do it directly here. So it returns the results of a Boolean, right? Because there could be an error, so that's good. But the beauty of this is we can now have like a mock prompter, and we can do like implement prompter for like mock prompter and just return true. So we can do like um, false, true, mock prompter, and we can also have like false mock prompter, fill it up. Thank you. So rather than doing this here, we can pass it, this is more like dependency injection. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but rather than that, we can then pass in a prompter, and we can do implement prompter. right? I'm still thinking this through, like, um, so yeah, what we are gonna do is, rather than do this, we're gonna do, um, we can do prompt. It expects an argument. Yeah, let's call it prompter because we're using the, what did I call that argument again? Yeah, it's prompter, right? Um, let's copy it. Uh, prompter. Oh yeah, it's an associated function, sorry. So with that, we can remove this, right? So what's the beauty of this now? If we go to file manager, we might have to pass it up a little bit. That's not a problem. Um, so my passing like prompter, um, I might have to copy. Let's just create a new stuff and call this prompter. Um, let's go 15 prompter. So let's just export everything. So we go back. Does migration happen at all at once, or does it migrate when the user requests that data? I'm not sure what you mean. Does migration happen all at once? What data are you talking about in this context? So we do the, let's just copy all this there so it's easy to manage. Then great. Okay, let's go to parameters, let's put that in there. Why don't we just use inquire there and and there we go. Thank you, Kobe or Quadri. Thank you. D2. Oh, so let's just remove all that and let's come here also. Yeah, I don't know, like I don't know exactly what you mean by if the migration happen on all at once. Do you mean like when you're running it? And mind you, the migration only runs from the pending. It doesn't run from like the beginning because it's keeping track of all those. So we've got these traits. Um, we can then go here and put like a prompter. Prompter. I mean, we can use that, but we are going to just use implement prompter. Great. Remove that. Let's see. Let's pass in. I mean, I could have just copied that, right? So we do the same. Expected type. Oh, there's an extraneous character there. Anyway, we pass in the prompter here. And, ooh, yep. So the beauty of this now is, I mean, this is for, I believe, the test. So we can pass in the real prompt here. But the beauty of this is now we can pass in like fake prompter or whatever you can think of. Um, so we can do like mock fake mock prompter. Um, is that being exported fully? Let's see. Prompter. Okay, not. So this is public. Um, so the treat actually by default implements a prompt to uh, okay, we should have a real prompter also. Um, we'll call this real prompter, and we can just use the default because it already implements the default. We don't need to override. So here actually when we're writing our test, for example, yeah, we can use like fake. Do we want true or false here? So let's say we want to return true. Or, so this was the default, probably was using false. Let's just use true. True mark prompter. Yep, that's great. Let's look at another one. So yeah, let's use true. I mean, we can come back and see which place makes sense. Probably want to be returning true for the most part. And yeah, we're using the real prompter. And this is the CLI part. So I think we might want to do like prompter, pass this forward, implement prompter, the import that. I don't know, my language, my LSP is fucking up. I would like to know about Rust. I'm a man, full stack developer. Yeah, of course, just read books. I'll be creating courses also. I'm writing books also, trying to give back, contribute back to the community. But yeah, to learn Rust, to get better at Rust, I just read books. I read a lot of books, probably read at least 9 books back to back. I have one I'm planning to read. I bought like a few months ago. I've just not had time to do it. So like the way is just like I think the best way to get really good at the language is just like I mean it's good to read code. Read code, definitely. Read other people's code. Read blog posts. Just consume. If you're really like passionate about it, like you're gonna learn from anywhere. Like everywhere, books, blog posts, um, other code, open source, everything, everywhere. Like you when you're immersed in it, you really wanna just dive deep, like you're hungry for the knowledge. And for me, I find it rewarding to learn about these things. So you find that the same way, you're really gonna have like a pleasant time because Rust community is truly amazing, and I've loved every part of it. This is like my maybe ninth or tenth professional, I mean, language I've used professionally, and um, it's my favorite. I'm basically moving on my project from TypeScript, even though I've been writing TypeScript for quite a long time now. I I've written some projects that are like literally hundreds of thousands of lines of code, and I'm already migrating them back to Rust. So that's to tell you how pleasant the experience is. One of the things I never liked about TypeScript is the build tool. It's just so um, like anytime I was running my code, even though I was using very strict type, like I used run type wherever necessary, I used compile type, I was writing very advanced extreme types. But one thing I wasn't quite happy with was every time I came back to my project, I had this little sense of panic that my something was gonna break in the um something was gonna oh, this shouldn't be mock, it should be real prompter. I always had this panic that my build was gonna fail, and I never liked that. I never feel that. When I ever feel that with Rust, it's just like something is wrong with my code. Because when you enforce having strong typing, it means for all the libraries to work, in the first place, the contract between them must have been agreed upon. So you know it's most likely your own code. And that gives me just a feeling that I can't really explain. So what we're doing now basically is using trade system to what what's wrong with sometimes my newbie messes up. We're using the trade system to get around that CLI stuff. So it's easier for us to manage. So basically here we can put in a real prompter to, yep, real prompter, and where else? Where are you now? And of course, I've worked with languages like Python, Java. What didn't I like about Python? Well, now they are adding types in Python, and I've used a lot of those types, but they're still quirky and like they're just not robust. They're like, I mean, Python is having a bunch of stuff, pattern matching and all that, but you also have to deal with um, the interpreter and stuff, installing the package management. I've used Poetry, I've used I've used Conda, I've used Pip, of course. I've used probably at least 4 or 5. Of course, there's this new one written in Rust. That's great. But you really can't compare something that was an afterthought to something that was, I mean, an afterthought basically shoehorned into the project and something that was taught right from the get-go. Cargo is really a dream to work with. I know there is Born in JavaScript ecosystem, there is all these Rome tools and ES build and stuff, but Cargo is just so pleasant to work with. Okay, I might have to just do git diff um let's check this out. I'm still listening now. So we have git status, github, let's add all that. And okay, we're running from that, so we might wanna guard a little bit. Clear pwd. Let's add it again. Okay. So this can be git commit. Oh, what was that? Use trade system for migration for easier testability. Prompts. And we can do git push. Status. Ta-da. Yep. So that's a good place to start. So now you start to see the benefit. I'll show you some. Let's maybe do CLI interface. Let's call that whatever. So rather than using the command line, we can actually do something like this. You know what? Let's just start afresh. Let's go freezing a little bit. Let's do that. Bam, bam, bam. So the beauty of this is now we can actually have all the flexibility we ever could imagine. We can do like migration CLI function, and that is probably gonna come from here. And we call it migration CLI remove IG. We're not on Instagram. Am I being so clumsy now? So you start to see the benefit now soon. Mm-mm-mm. Let's remove that for now. Oh, it's not a fully public function. Let's just make it public. Um, which means we would have to make this public also. Whatever. Anyway, I'll deal with it on the top level. Um, so the beauty of this is now we can actually pass those arguments in directly. We can also use the in-memory database. If we're not if we're not doing it this way programmatically, if we're using the CLI, then we can't use the in-memory database because they are running within separate processes and they have different contexts. So we would have to either use a separate database running on as a different instance, or we can use the file based. So we can create a temporary file directory and use the file base. But that also has a problem dealing with log files when you're trying to do multiple reads and writes. Um, so the benefit of this is we have flexibility of just directly interacting with the interface since we assume that clap should work properly and we have some tests already that are testing with the interface, just that they are more rigid because as you're going from the bottom to the top of the testing like pyramid, it gets more complicated, especially when you're doing end to end. So Mason, I like watching you because you use Rust, but I use Python most of the time, but I read Rust code from time to time because that is the next language. Oh yeah, I mean Python is a great language. I I started with Python. I started with Python, Java, and R. So and I really, in fact, my master's thesis, I used Python in my master's thesis. I can show it. I think I still have it on GitHub. Um, yep. I I can still probably find it somewhere. It's called MSc. So this was my thesis like almost 5 years ago. It's actually 5 years ago, as you can see. As you can see, this is like Python. So Python is great. I was doing some you know it was fun. It was fun to write it. I have like more even larger projects with Python. So Python is a good language, especially when you're getting started. But when you really want to take it to the next level, Python won't teach you so much about memory management, so much about, I mean, there's just a lot that you learn using a language like Rust, and you feel so much confidence in your program. Like once my code compiles, I just pretty much believe it's gonna run. It's gonna run properly. The logic, using pattern matching, using the enums and stuff, like it's just unbeatable. When I'm writing my Python or JavaScript or even TypeScript code, I always feel a sense of the package manager is gonna mess up. The code is like I just never feel that much confidence that I feel in Rust. I feel that to some extent with Java. Golang is okay also, but I I just feel like if I'm gonna be writing Golang, it also has a what's it called? It has a garbage collector. And at this point, I feel very comfortable writing Rust. So why not just use it? I couldn't. Also, the WebAssembly story behind Golang isn't that great, and it just doesn't have great interoperability story as Rust does. You can interface Rust with C++, and it's just so nice to FFI. Yeah, I mean Python type annotation is good, but the tooling around it is still like I would say suboptimal, and the type system is not as strong. It's just like TypeScript. Python's type is like TypeScript, and it's not as robust because it wasn't built from the get-go, and it's not as strong as things like Rust or even Java. But I mean, it's better than not having types at all. Isn't it interesting that we're going full circle? So the beauty of this is now we can pass in the CLI directly. That's beautiful. So we don't have to do CLI parse from the argument. We can literally just do if we go like let's go to this. So we can just do I mean we can do CLI new. Maybe that's better. Uh, CLI let's do public function uh, new, yeah. Da-da-da. And then, so basically here we can just pass the sub command and call it sub command and pretty much just use that here. Um, so sub command also has to be exported in that case. So the beauty of this, we might have to export this command. Okay, we already do, it seems like. Um, yep, yep. We probably export everything already, but I'll confirm that. Yeah, exported. Done. Great. Great. Um, great. Great. I believe, does this have default? We can probably put in default here. So the beauty of this now is that we can directly programmatically test these functions, functionalities, and at the same time, we um, we can use the in-memory database because they will be now running within the same process, right? So where was I? CLI interface. CLI interface. Great. Let's just close everything for now. So let's say this. We can say CLI new. I can probably to do within that. And here we put in the CLI. Can you start to see where I'm getting at? So this takes 3 arguments. Why is it showing me the wrong thing? Okay. What argument does it take? I'm trying to go to the definition. It's messing up. That's probably okay. So it takes the code base resource. So the nice thing about this also is we can have like multiple resources instance. So the first one is resource resources, the first one. Then let's take v2 also. So this just makes things so we can do resources. And here, rather than using real prompter, let's say we want to use true mock prompter. What? Oh, yes, missing one. Yep. But actually thinking about this now, it might make it easier to test the interface, but the database will still be running, I think, within, it depends. Let's check, because except if we go down here, I'm sure we can get around that also, because yeah, when we do run, you're gonna notice that for some of these, this is init, right? When you go to, I believe, run, we're doing setup DB. So the nice thing is we can also pass setup DB as an argument. So let's pass setup DB as an let's pass DB instance as an argument here also. So if we do that, it's gonna give us even more like flexibility. So we're gonna do Surreal any yep. So rather than do that, we can just copy that, right? Basically just inverting things and um I just so yeah, we can put in this here. In fact, we can let's take this here, and at the same time we um let's pass in DB here. I like having it as the first argument actually. So we can do, why don't we just copy it from up? Um, yep. Um, so we can pass in DB and expected value, blah blah blah, self. Uh, so interesting. Hmm, interesting. Let's see what we can do to improve these. Setup DB. I mean, you know what? Anyway, just take that out, take that in first. We are gonna sort that out. Yep. So this will now take DB. However, this needs interesting. But I know what I'm gonna do. So there are many ways I'm thinking we can resolve this, and I'm gonna show you guys what's happening. Um, if we go to these, for example, where else are we using that? Maybe we go to down. You're gonna see we're also using like setup DB here, and we're getting it from this shared robot, basically runtime config. So we can decide if we want to share this runtime config field at the top level, right? That's one thing we can do. That way it's gonna be easier to deal with. But another way we can probably get around this, so we'll take the DB instance and when you look over your shoulders, a minute time comes over. I thought you do. Let's look at this implementation again. Let's check it out. So basically we're passing this runtime configuration because we need it for the DB. Okay. So from there we're getting the we're basically using the runtime config. And like I said, I think I'd like to have this first. Like db and yep, that's let's check up and turn the lights. It's getting darker. So we're having the DB instance, but at the same time we want to pass this. We would like to pass something like this function. So I'm thinking if we should pass in a callback here. Let me turn on. It's getting hot. How's that? I need a little bit of coolness in my brain so the inspiration comes in. Ha 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 ha. Let me think this through a little bit. Just a little bit. You let me go, darling. You scared of letting go. We've come too far, my dear. Look how much we've done, darling. Da 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 da. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So think. When you look over your shoulder, for a minute times don't go so by. How could you do? You are this beautiful heaven. You make me feel this way somehow. So what I'm gonna do now is um, I'm looking at the safest way to do this because we still need this, right? So something does come to my mind, right? And guys, I think I have an idea what a good way to go would be. So what we can do is rather than having this, we can actually have like a struct and call that like db setup or setup db, and that would take all this, right? The runtime configuration, and we can then do implement, of course, setup db. There, let's just implement um, first. Let's do function new. Yep, I can just call this like basically runtime config. Um, runtime config. Yep. Then we can do set runtime config. So we're gonna call this set runtime config, right? So rather than passing in that, if we go right here, then I believe we can actually just maybe move this in and even move this. And that could probably be a private function, couldn't it? It could be a private function. Okay, so yeah, we do. I mean, technically, we can do this, and that doesn't hurt. And yeah, we need the instance. So let's just do done. So rather than passing this as an argument, what we're gonna do is self dot done da da done. We're gonna call it runtime configuration now. And do we even need that? I don't think so. And yeah, we're gonna call this self dot runtime configuration. Probably need to clone. Um, so this should be referenced, okay? And db URL. I mean, we could just reference this also, right? So the beauty of this doing encapsulating the logic is now, rather than passing in that, we can just come here and we can actually, let's go to the mod. Rather than passing in, even we can include the prompter and other stuff. We can just do setup and put setup db. Now I'm looking for the struct. Isn't that exported? No, it's not. So export that. So pretty much we have this now. If we want to go crazy, we can actually, I don't think we need to go crazy. Let's just encapsulate everything there. Let's at least start with that. So we can call this like setup db, setup db. So now let's do for run up first. So rather than passing in db, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass in um, setup db or db setup. Let's call it db setup, and we're just gonna pass in that, right? But now the beauty of this, guys, look at this. This is why programming is magic. Ah, ha, 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 ha. So rather than do that, and you know, let's first do this. So we're gonna do like db setup, set runtime configuration. Let's remove that. But you know what there's something else we can do. There's something else, right? One thing else we can do is we can actually implement a trait for all these things and call them like get runtime configuration. So for example, yeah, rather than taking runtime config, it's not really necessary, but like let me show you what I mean. We can do to the, let's call this two, and rather than thinking that then we can create like uh let's say trait called runnable migration. So part of that could be we can have something called get runtime. We can just say runtime config bam 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 bam, right? And then we just implement the thank you for the completing what's on my mind. So we just get the runtime config. So rather than passing in this, right, if we use like two, for example, We just need to pass in self. Ha 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 ha. So this takes in runtime configuration. I mean, we can probably take a reference to that, but I'm not sure we want to be passing in. We can do this. Bam, 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 bam. You get what I mean, anyway. This is what I mean. Like we could do um it's gonna be a little bit of da-da-da. If we want to pass in the reference, we can do that. And rather than taking in this, we can just take in the reference. And this also can take in the reference. And rather than taking the concrete type here, we can basically do implement runnable migration. And um, runner, let's take runner, let's call out runner. And we can just do runner, runtime config, right? Um, what's that? Okay, we need to take that off. Um, cannot find. Oh yeah, bring that in. Is it private? Let's check it. Yeah, it is. Let's just put that in there. That's beauty of like interface or trait. Let's keep going. We never gonna stop. We never gonna stop. Yep. So, which would you prefer? This kind of like enforces stuff, and but then the other one is also a little bit flexible. But we can just look at things as we go. So first, let's say so this is the problem with using the lifetime stuff. Then you need to start passing it everywhere. Let's see if we can tell it to just guess it. Looks like it. Um, cannot find DB. So when you do like set runtime configuration, we also need the database. I mean, technically, set or override. This would actually be better called override because we're already setting it right when you instantiate it. So this is better like override runtime config. It's a better name in my opinion. So override it's more descriptive and you know when we do this we should probably return like self so that then you can call like setup, right? And it's saying it doesn't match up because now we're using reference everywhere, which is annoying a little bit. So the beauty of this is now we can do runtime config. We're overriding it with what we've got here, and we can do db da, 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 setup db. Oh wait, um, so db setup. So we can go like, okay, when you instantiate that, you say new. Um, should we set up the DB from the top? The important thing is we have the same DB instance. So if we want to do that, let's um, do like db. Let's store the instance to that, and we can do self dot. Let's do db equals self dot setup. Oh yeah. Um, let's check runtime configuration coming from here. All we're using from there is basically runtime configuration. So would it let's know what, let's just pass in runtime to make it more flexible. Runtime config. Let's call that runtime config. And no, not there. There. Great. So let's just copy that out. Yep. And here we can do self setup db. We pass in the runtime configuration, and we can do db. Internet daily sync. Sync. We need to await that. Oh, yep. Let's remove. Then let's deal with this now. Because we're still ideating. Let's remove that for now. So this is able to um, set the database. So one thing also is when you override the config, um, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do like separate DB, right? So that returns the database for us. Because when you're doing new, we want to return like self. But what if you do new, then you override? So let's see. Example, you say you pass in the runtime configuration, and then you can do like setup and override. Because I'm trying to avoid a situation whereby we're having two different instances. Because when you invoke the setup twice, like those are like two different database instances in memory, and you don't want that kind of situation because then you have like different uh, you have like multiple states in different like database instances, so that's what I'm trying to like avoid. So first, instantiating, I'm wondering if we want to just set up here, because if we do that, and let's see how we're gonna be using it first. Let's take this out. We pass in the setup, and here you can override configuration. Oh, it's probably gonna fly because you override, then when you override, it gives you these. This is not the stuff anymore. And yeah, you can just get like db db um db.clone. And it's not a future. Okay, yep. So we get a database, db setup, bar as mutable, and um, actually we don't need a clone here. So we override the configuration and get database. But the problem is when we override the configuration here, we've already instantiated this. So it's not actually going to affect the database configuration. It's going to be using the configuration we used when we instantiated. So that's something we need to be cognizant of and need to take care. So at the top level, you say new, and then you've got your database stuff. Um, it's gonna be a bit tricky to use this approach, and the reason is if we already instantiate the database, let's see, I change the um, but anyway. I mean, the concern now is, we can clone that. The concern is like if we do override and let's say we override these and we try to do like it's essentially us doing this like new, and that's not right, right? That cannot fly because now we are instantiating a new database. Like that's just like deceiving ourselves. Um, so we don't want to do that. Or uh, 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 same and then no function name setup db. Really, there is. Well, it doesn't return a future. I see. What? but there is for setup DB currency. Okay, let's see setup DB. Why does it complain that there isn't? It's literally finding it. Let me close and open it. Oh yeah, I see the problem. Um, yep. I don't know why I always do that. Um, and this returns future. So I guess the question is, when do we want to run setup? Because if we run it at the top level here, let's say we pass in a setup here so that we can invert the control. Now we've got like setup, and we can do like things like override. But the truth is, even if you override it, the database has already been instantiated, right? So if you override, it's really not doing anything because we do the instantiation here. So we get the database, we sign in. And what else do we do? We sign in there and yeah, we connect that. Um, so the dilemma I'm facing right now is who should be responsible for instantiating the database? Should the top level parent be responsible for it, or should the child, like I mean innate, run, down, and others, should they be responsible for it? So one idea that is popping up into my mind is um, we can have the setup from the top level, which can be override by the child. So what the children can do is they can all return like the database instance. So after instantiating it, they can return it so that when we want to use it in our test, we can have access to the database instance. Let me see how that is gonna look like. So what do I mean by that? If we go here, we pass in setup DB, or just setup. Oh, that's not that. Um, so this takes setup now. Um, this takes setup. Let's pass that as um, so what I'm talking about is at the end of this function, we can actually return the DB and call this, sorry, what's that type? Yep. Um, we might run into an issue here, but let's see. We can return that at the end of this. And So it means for this, we can, let's say db, of course, like they all return like different stuff for now, but what I mean is if we take up that run, let's see init, does it use the db here? Okay, we're calling run here, so somehow it uses the y. Yeah, it uses up, as you can see here, it does. So we can go up and pass in the db setup. Yep. I mean, it's optional for it, but yep, you get the gist. Um, Actually, it should be, yep, maybe right, the, I can call that db setup, delete that, let's go db setup, and we can import that. So we go back here, we're just gonna pass in the setup. Yep. So we have to take in that, and let's remove that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna to do everything. To do, to do, to do, to do. Where else? If I can use put to do here also. So for run, we've got these, and we're trying to return this, right? So yeah, we can just return the db instance here. Mind you, we're passing in some runtime configuration, but that will be overridden anyway. So in fact, what we want to do is we can just do let db equals setup db dot new. We're supposed to pass in the runtime config, but I guess we can do runtime config runtime where you're putting the default. But I've probably done that there. It takes in the reference. Let's take in the real thing. You can pass the reference here. Let's clone this for now. Oh, that's a future. Let's wait on that. Yep. And you can clone this. Yep. Yep. So now we are doing the overriding, and this can just take the default here, and oh, it's actually taking the setup. So use this setup, and then I'll still like that to be the first argument. So here we can take setup. Let's take a table reference to that, but that has to be declared as mute, and um, oh yeah, keep forgetting that. Declare it as mutable. Yep. So that means if we go to run, for example, up, wait, running, let's do something like that. So now this returns the database instance. Oh. After you pass in the setup, mind you, we're not passing the database instance now, we're passing in the setup. But the nice thing about this is this can also return the database instance. So when we're writing our test, we can have access to the same database instance. That is critical. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues if you're having like separate database instance without knowing it. So let's do the same thing for down. Let's look at up and put that on the side. And yep. So yeah, we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna put that. Yep. And actually, we're doing the overriding here. I mean, we can just do um. I just wanna hold you. I just wanna hold you. A reference to it, okay? Take a reference to that, and no method named db except there is, and the reason is because we're not returning the instance to that. So let's do that. Return. Can I return reference to local variable set return to the local function? But is it technically, actually, yeah, we don't even need to return a reference. We can just return, um, technically, we can do something like this since you're returning instance to it anyway. But let's see, you do that. Yeah. So we've got that for down, and DB returns. Sorry. Why not? This is DB and the instance, so why doesn't it? Oh, that returns. This doesn't have to be async. Yep, it doesn't have to be async. That's why we're having that. Anyway, so we can pretty much take that away. Oh, well, it dropped. Is it actually used here? It should be. It should be. Okay. TV migration. Yeah, the reason that is happening is because like this returns, this takes ownership of the instance, right? And then returns this. So we would have to first, we'll have to do something like this to get around that, or we can take it back to how it was. So this will be called like setup. Can I move out of DB setup? Oh yeah, we're borrowing this. A little bit of trouble there. So we might have to take this as reference. And let's see. Um, Not in the scope. Yep. How about that? Yep. So we're trying to return DB, like return an instance to it. So we go back to mod. Yep, yep. We do the same thing we did for up, and we can just pass in like setup. Let's just uh, uh, yep. So we do pretty much the same for everything. And you know, if we want to make this easier, we can just use the trait actually. And um yeah, but anyway, we can take this pane for now. Let's put in setup. Let's just put in setup everywhere. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Yep. So we've got set up. Let's do for generation. Um, So there are two things we need to do. First, let's go to down, see, take inspiration from that. And okay, so we're gonna take that DB setup. And I don't know, do we want to have that as first argument or last? Whatever. I like having that as first, but let's put it there first. It doesn't really matter much. So take that, and then we can just pretty much use these, and let's put it up there. And what command is this? Generate, okay. So let's go to 20, put that up there, and run. Yeah, because we need it here, right? We can just pretty much do clone, and yeah, we just pass a clone to it. Oh, this is actually expecting the setup, so we can pass in setup, yeah, and let's see, we can um, first, let's close this. I may actually be returning setup here because we're storing the database instance within it anyway. Like we might return setup as well, and whatever. We'll see. Because then that can give us more information if we need to. But let's just make this work first. Yeah, we need to end that. Yeah, we need to borrow this as mutable. And let's see the next one. We need to do for prune. So let's go prune. Yeah, I do have a LinkedIn. I'll share my LinkedIn in the chat now. Let me see if I can find my LinkedIn. I've not I've not really updated my LinkedIn in a while though, so um it's not all that irrelevant, but um yeah, I'm trying to get my LinkedIn URL. Actually, you can find it. Oh, I'm not sure if I put it back on my on my YouTube page. Let me check it. Oh yeah, because yeah, let me see if I can copy it here. How do I get it here? Let me see if I can copy. Okay, this is my LinkedIn. Um, but yeah, you may not find the most relevant information right now. But I'm looking to update that because um, I was trying to reduce the I was getting a lot of messages from recruiters and I couldn't keep up with them, so I kept it. So my LinkedIn page is actually not. It's quite useful information there, but yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna pass in what we had here. These two, So here we are using the runtime config instead. And you're welcome, Brett Agan. Did I get it right? Where are you chatting from? That's my favorite question, it seems. Here we do the same. Bam, 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 bam. Yep. So we've got this here also. Bam, bam. We're not using that. Oh, is that so? We are not using that. Can you imagine that? Anyway, we can just return a clone. Yep. Let's return a clone and the type. I'm thinking of returning a setup instead, but let's get this to work. Like, no, not that yet. You actually heard. Sorry, any T. Um, yeah, this doesn't have to be mutable because we're not using the setup anywhere else like we were in the other place. So we go to this and let's just put a log here. Um, of course, we need to remove that so it returns. So we also need for list. Oh, nice. Where in Canada is that? So we need to do for list and resets, I believe. That's probably the last. No, this should go. Yeah. Um. Baby, are you down, 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 down? Oh, Carly. Okay. It seems there are a lot of people from California. I I might actually do Cali next month because I'm gonna be in the West Coast anyway. So I might as well just do Cali also. And I'm planning a road trip around like the West Coast, you know, Alberta, Vancouver, and just the Seattle and all those places, Washington. I think it'll be fun. It will be fun. Funny. How was San Francisco today? I heard it's cloudy and cold. It's not even that bad here. My LSP is really messing up. How are you doing today? How did you find my channel? Because I haven't posted my channel anywhere. I just started like pretty much recording my screen and sharing it so I can get roasted. Um, so we are that we can copy those two. That we don't need that anymore. Um, let's just I'm just gonna take that off. We can return a clone to that. So let's just do clone. Yep, yep. Yeah, we're using the. I probably need to standardize all this name because I'm using shared and run blah blah blah. It should just be called like runtime configuration. Um, yep, one down. Hey, mama, papa, I just shot a man down in Central Station. So the last one is this. Ooh, it's been a long day. Um, yep. Da, 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 da. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So this we can pretty much just bam, 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 bam. DB setup, we do the same thing. I'm pretty sure like we can Probably using the tree system makes more sense here. But the goal is to get it work first. When it works, you can then refactor and improve. I'm a very iterative person. I I don't try to get things perfect the first time. I just like get it going and then get it working. Then because when it's going, it's very easy to get it working. When it's working, it's very easy. It's a lot easier to get it improved than trying to get it perfect from the first time. Like iterating is the best thing you can do because then you get a sense of progress also, and that's really critical for having that sanity. So I can just pretty much passing setup here. Um, take a reference, mutable reference state. Whew. Okay, yep, we need to set it as mutable. Yep, cannot borrow. Uh, cannot borrow data in as mutable. Cannot borrow as mutable. So we are getting down is okay. Up, not so much. Let's see what up is complaining about. Mm, oh, yeah, the import. About reset. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Plants. Mm, 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 after I still again the shit. Yeah, it's a shit. I mean, I can clone it, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to clone it. So remove that. Um, remove that. Take it out. Yeah, because um, setup is a reference. It's not a mutable reference, and this is what it means. If you go here, when you do override, it returns a reference to self, not mutable reference. So it doesn't do this, you know. And so can I borrow setup as mutable? But it is also borrowed as immutable. Where is it borrowed as immutable? Oh, borrowed as immutable. Yeah, immutable borrowed used here. I see. I see. Um, you know, because really we don't need it in this function. We only need setup, so we can do that borrowing later. Um, is it the same here? I know it looks crazy now, but we can I like getting it to work first, then iterating later. Let's look at the configuration. Um, are we still using this? Is it even necessary? I think we should just stick to the first one. Um, let's remove that, and we can call it shared. But I think we probably want to call this runtime config. Um, we can clone it. That's fine. That is fine. Oh, it's actually expecting a reference. Good. Even better. Take the reference to it. Okay. What else? What else are you yelling for? That's not something to yell about. Oh, I see. Runtime config. Yep. I probably want to rename for this also for generate and just call it like runtime config or db config, whatever. Yep. This may look like why are we even doing this? Why the hassle? Why the stress? But I'm gonna show you. But fundamentally, the whole reason for doing this is we are trying to return the database instance because we don't want a situation like when we're invoking these functions from our tests. Um, ensure same database instance across CLI commands and return the instance. The whole point of this is that when we're interacting with the database, we don't want a situation whereby now we're interacting with two instances and it's to us we think we're interacting with one, and that is problematic. Um, so if we come to CLI interface here, for example, we use this, right? I don't know, this keeps on messing up. Okay, so if we navigate my um my new Vim setup is a mess right now. So let's go to migration CLI, right? Um, this we pass in the setup DB, which we can instantiate and it will be overridden anywhere. And then we pass in the CLI command, we pass in the resources and the prompter. So the nice thing about this is we can actually make this even into a struct. So it takes the setup, it takes the code base, it takes the prompter. But let's take them as separate arguments because they are all distinct and there's no way we are gonna be like mistaking them for each other. And in the case whereby we have similar types, then we could use like a wrapper type to disambiguate them. So use wrapper types a lot. Um, yep. Let's come here. We can actually remove the to-dos now. So take that off, take that off, take that off. Um, oh, what? What? Returns nothing? No way. Oh, so I actually didn't do the same thing for um search. I think I should have returned setup. Um, Did we set up the runtime config now? Okay, still call that. I know, probably want to call that runtime config. Yep. So what are we trying to achieve? Do we even need setup or DB here? All right, there is DB setup. Fair enough. DB clone probably makes more sense to return setup, but I don't know. Let's DB clone here. And borrow as mutable because it's been borrowed as immutable here. DB setup. Let's give it setup. So you ask, how the hell are we gonna do that? Because we can. The beauty of this is they return the same database instance. And yep. Let's do runtime config. Let's only call that now. Runtime config. Turn that off. Yep. We haven't even started the testing. Think about it. Think about it. Ha 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 ha. So this takes in setup. Yep. Local apps. Clean up setup. Yep. So let's go back to the test, to the CLI interface. It takes 4 arguments. We probably want to move this into a struct because I mean it's getting ugly a little bit. My code navigation is messing up, but that is okay, I guess. I guess we can take these to the other side first and bring this here, close it all. Maybe oh I just CLI mode. Take that there. Close. No, actually, close that instead. So the first argument is the setup. So the beauty of that is we can have like setup and call it that. Thank you. You're welcome. And of course we can always change your runtime configuration. depending on what we want, but let's just stick to the default. We won't use the default, but let's leave it for now. Is it private? It looks like it. So you know what I'm gonna do? Let's go here and okay, it's gonna default. Can we make here default to something? Oh, actually, yeah, it's got default. Oh, it's not public. That's the problem. Yeah, I totally forgot that. Yep. So now we've got that. Then again, so we've got the setup, which is the first argument for now. We've got the CLI, we've got the resources, we've got two resources here. Then the prompter. So let's use prompter because yeah, we want to use like fake. So true prompter returns true. Prompter returns true. Or false mock prompter. Gonna sound somewhere. Let's import this. So the beauty of this now is let's just return a unit here. So the first one is setup. Okay, this person is set up. Then the CLI resources through the prompter, and let's just take this. Take mutable reference to that. Let's make that mutable. And so, oh, we are having to do here, but we're gonna fix that. The beauty of this now is this returns the database like instance. So here we can just I think we should return setup, but whatever. So when we start doing stuff, we know we have access to the database instance. So let's say we want to check the latest migration. We can then do um, select all, right? Select all from let's say from migration table. That's all right. Return many, maybe return many, and let's double fish that migration. Yep. So then the beauty is we can pass the same database instance. There is an extra parenthesis, take that off. So now suddenly, let's say we have migrations. If we hadn't done what we just did now, and we instantiate a separate migration, a separate database here, then we're gonna be having different database instance. I wouldn't be able to assert on the return results. I hope you got me. I think I want to stretch a little bit, stretch and take some break because we're about to start the main work. Uh, Ready. testing ready integration testing. Yep. So let's go here. We probably can remove all these logs really because the logs are already within all these places. So I need to remember to remove them. I just kind of want the curly, the whatever here. Oh yeah, we need to remember to remove that. I don't want that to be on the line. I really still prefer this, even though, yeah. So I guess I can just put some placeholder stuff here. Um, up, up. Um, well, it doesn't matter. We don't give a damn. Yeah, you can do that. I'm cool with that. Actually, let's fix that up. Yep, yep. Um, yeah, I think we're on the right track. Oh, there's another place that's probably not big of a deal. But anyway, um, I'm gonna stretch a little bit, guys. Yep, I'm back. It was nice to take that little break and stretch a little bit. So and you're gonna start to see why we're actually doing this. There's a lot of reason, and I'll show you the integration test, so you can start to get an idea. Um, it's everything okay. This HXC81 ideas, excellent. I'm integrating some tests to see how they work. Oh, excellent. Yeah, it's because of you and people that might be interested. Stuff like this. That's why I'm streaming this exactly why. So before we even go to this part, I will show you some of my integration tests. I'll probably update those first, so you start to like understand why and maybe get a little bit of appreciation for it. So this is CLI test. We initialize, then we try to generate. But this is not going to work because the prompting is actually, I mean, we could find a way to, I need to find a way to respond to the prompt. Um, I haven't really done much research on this side, like if there are some existing libraries or native tooling to do it. But maybe in the meantime, we might want to copy this out because initializing actually generates the file, right? So let's maybe take this out for a while. Um, so we're initializing this as reversible. We could use the full argument and say reversible so it's clear. And um, we can also tell it to run it, right? So let's run this test now and do cargo. Cargo test. Might take some time. It's just a little patient. Little patient. Just a little patient. Um, Yep. So I was just watching a quick video. Not yet implemented CLI interface. Let's see, we can do cargo test. Test. This time was testing CLI test. $35. So that fails pretty much. So where does it fail? Let's see. Init found unexpected argument. Cargo run init. That's interesting. Init is unexpected. That's okay. Let's run cargo run init. Okay. Why doesn't that work anymore? There is a need, so what's go run whether not to run migration? Migration there. Oh, what could we're waiting that. I'd really like to complete all the tests today, because January 27. Let's go. Okay. So let's put the random argument, for example. Yep. So what happens when we copy that out? It's loading because that's the first time we're compiling it after making the change. So let's see what happens there. Great. How many hours have I streamed? 2 hours. Am I getting this unexpected argument? I'm actually thinking we don't even need to pass setup because the setup comes from the CLI and anyway. So, but for some, oh yeah, let's look at the logs. Setting up DB, so it's probably from this part. Um, yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, although we need to figure that out. But if you really think about it, the most important thing is we want to return the database instance. That's really what it comes down to. Because yeah, I'm gonna show you. This is what I mean. So pretty much this, right? We can pass in runtime config here. Tomato Steve, thanks, I appreciate it. And thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for the encouragement. I was about to give up. I actually feel sleepy a little bit. Let me turn up the AC because it's getting noisy and noisy in here. Let's do the. So generate is done. Initialize. Yeah. Yep. Yep, let's try to. They say, I bet they never make it, but just look at us going strong. We'll stick together. Never make it, but just look at us go. You're still the one I run to, the only one I you. You're still the one I love. Oh, no. Still the one, you're still the one I run to, the only one I dream. You're still the one I dream. Oh, still the one. Yeah, that returns a clone, right? Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Doesn't it though? Okay, it doesn't. It should. Still the one. They say they'll never make it, but just look at us. So we're gonna do setup DB going strong. We still together. No, 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 no. But just look at us going strong. Still together. Still the one. So the beauty of this is now if we go back to generate, in run we don't need that anymore, which an implication of that is although that is a little bit problematic, or maybe it isn't. So if we run like generate, it's just gonna call run. It's gonna call up, and up is gonna instantiate the database and return that. But we're gonna lose that if we're not returning it here, because this is conditional. Except we're gonna be returning option of database and Thank you. Thank you, Tomato Steve. I'll be taking it easy. Yep. Might be a bit problematic here. I mean, because we might want to check the database connection also. But yeah, you know what? Let me restart my ID. Great. First and foremost. I think I'm saying something there. Talking about something mutable. Let's run it again and we shall see. So we're about to conquer. Ooh. I really have to finish all this test today so I can be done with this part. Um, that's a it. So what am I missing? Go around. Init exists. To use it, remove it before. So it recognizes it, but when name is provided. Okay. I need to figure out, this was working earlier, right? I need to variable does not need to be mutable. That's okay. Function defined here. I think I might be returning setup instead. If this doesn't work, I might have to take a break, so that I can calm my brain, take a nap, then come back. Cause it's usually a lot easier that way when you're stumbling upon, but not against something. It probably helps to step back and rethink what you're doing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is take a little break, relax, don't overstretch the stream. Then we're gonna come back, figure it out. I'll see if I'll figure this out off stream, but I'll make sure I try to write this the test at least on stream. So as you can see, this is we're actually getting to a pretty good place. So today, what have we achieved? Well, nothing. No, we've actually done a lot today. We've tried to refactor these in such a way that it's gonna make it easier for us to test. Do some integration tests. So we created like a prompter trait, so it's easier for us to pretty much pass the prompter implementation around. For our test, we can use the mock prompter, while in the real scenario, we can use the real prompter. Apart from that, we refactored. I can take you there. We refactored our CLI in such a way that they return an instance to the database. And the reason we're doing this is so that when we're writing our test, we can check our database, in-memory database, to see if there's something present, if there's something missing. And the reason I'm choosing to opt for in-memory database is because when you're instantiating this separately, then there will be different instances. And when you're using the CLI, there will be like different processes. So like your code is running in a separate process, the database will be running in a separate process. You can get around this by using the file-based, like it's called RocksDB or so. But then that runs into issues when you're setting up like a temp file and you need to do like concurrent write and stuff. At least previously I ran into issue when I was writing the end-to-end test. So that didn't allow me to write more tests. So what I'm gonna do is, well, what we've already done is now we are making all the subcommands return the database instance. This means that we're writing tests, we will have access to the same database instance. Then the second thing I'm gonna do is come back on the stream. First, try to figure out why this is not recognizing the arguments, which it did earlier, as you can see in the demo. Then once we figure that out, we start writing the test properly. But first, we'll fix like updates, the integration end-to-end test. We already have these, as you can see. We just need to make sure they still pass because we've changed the interface. Check this embedded, check for generating also. Then once we make sure that everything is updated and running and passing, then we're going to go to the CLI interface, which will focus more on this. So the beauty of this is now we're just going to be passing, for example, if you do this, rather than this to do, you're probably just going to be passing like CLI subcommand, and maybe you can then pass, let's say you want to test like init, like then in init you can do there, and maybe you pass another argument this way, right? Something like this. So this is what we are aiming at. I'm gonna come back, fix that issue. We're gonna add all these tests. I love you guys. Thanks as always. Thanks for joining the stream. I just wanted to share what I've been working on, and it's amazing to see people joining and joining the live stream. I'll try to be back as soon as possible. Probably just take a little nap, even if it's just 15 minutes. I think it makes a lot of difference, and just relax a little bit. I'm still considering this as part of my recovery because I used to stream like 8 hours if you check my previous stream, but we're coming back to that. Again, I love you guys. I'll be back soon. Peace from the side. Let's close this.